So, my name is Dave Hardy. I'm the Secretary of Revenue for Governor Justice. Let me get everybody. Oh, there he is. And there's the star attraction right there.
I just thought you made, I didn't want to leave her outside. Come on back up. Okay.
All right, our star guest is here.
And you got a bulldog too.
I probably should go stand behind Babydog. That way everybody will be able to hear what I'm saying. Again, I'm Dave Hardy, Secretary of Revenue for our governor here. And our journey together began in January of 2017 when the governor honored me by asking me to serve as his Secretary of Revenue. And I have a really easy job compared to the governor's job. My job and Mark Muco's job, my deputy, is to mind the state's finances. That's what we do. So when I talk about the state's budget today, between Mark and I, we have 65 years experience in public budgeting. And the governor and I got the same set of financial reports the day we started in January 17. The first report said that West Virginia was $207 million behind, or $217 million, I had that number wrong, $217 million in the hole for fiscal year 17. So we had 5.5 months to go, and we were $217 million in the hole. And I kind of panicked, because I had come from a Kanawha County Commissioner job, and we were never in the hole. And then we looked at fiscal year 18, the next report, and it said for fiscal year 18, West Virginia was going to be $497 million in the red. So you add those two numbers up, the day we showed up at the Capitol, West Virginia was $700 million in a deficit position. A lot of money. Now, I'm going to fast forward you to this year. What a great year this was for West Virginia financially. We closed our books on June 30th of 2022. That was the close of fiscal year 22. And West Virginia finished the fiscal year $1 billion, that's with a B, $1,308 million in the black under the leadership of Governor Justice. Now, that money belongs to the people. Doesn't belong to the governor, doesn't belong to me, it belongs to the people. And the governor said, we need to start thinking about a tax cut right now. So we looked around and we started doing research and we started thinking about how best to put money back in your pockets. And here's what we found. Out of the 50 states, 9 states don't have an income tax. And those are states that most of us have traveled to one time or the other. I'm talking about Texas, Florida, Tennessee. Maybe you haven't been to South Dakota or Alaska or Wyoming or Nevada. Many of us have been to Nevada. Those states don't have a state income tax. And in the 10 years that we look back, the decade that we looked at, 2008 to 2018, the latest data, those states grew twice as fast, population-wise, as the other 41 states. Those states grew their economies 56% more than the other 41 states. So the governor said, let's swing for the fences. Like Aaron Judge, let's just swing hard. Let's put a plan in place to try to eliminate the state income tax in West Virginia. Then we looked at the latest data on teleworkers. And teleworkers are the future. And they're actually not the future, they're now. Thousands and thousands and millions of people are becoming teleworkers where they work from home. And what we found is very simple. People who do telework can live any place because they work out of their homes. And they're all going where? Where do you think they're going? They're going to the states that have the lowest taxes. If you live in Maryland and you can come to West Virginia and you're a teleworker and you come to a state that has lower taxes, lower property taxes, lower sales taxes, and no income tax, where are you going to come? You're going to come to West Virginia. So the governor said, let's do it. Let's start our plan right now. So in July of this year, right after the 4th of July holiday, He called a special session. We put on the special session call immediate state income tax cut. We'll start by cutting it 10%. $271 million right then in this year, 2022, would be cut from your state income tax. And you would either see that in a bigger paycheck immediately because your withholding would be less, and you would have seen it in bigger refunds when you filed your income taxes next April. That's $271 million back in your pocket. The House of Delegates passed it in one day, but the West Virginia State Senate would not even vote or hear on the governor's plan to put $271 million back in your pocket. Instead, the West Virginia Senate has decided to put Amendment 2 on the ballot, along with the West Virginia legislature. Amendment 2 is something you'll be voting on November 8th of this year. Amendment 2, this sounds like golden horseshoe test material here. The West Virginia people put in our Constitution in November of 1932, baked into the Constitution, a guarantee that your property taxes that you pay on your home, on your vehicles, would go to local government. That is in the West Virginia Constitution. That's $550 million a year, constitutionally guaranteed to local government. I'm talking county commissions, I'm talking school boards, I'm talking cities. The governments that deliver what you need every day. When you call 911 and you need an ambulance, when you call a volunteer fire department and you need a fireman, that's what is constitutionally guaranteed since November of 1932 for 90 years. This amendment says, let's remove that from the Constitution and let's take the property tax revenue and let the West Virginia legislature decide what to do with our property taxes. And then the West Virginia legislature has said publicly, don't worry, counties, cities, we'll budget it back to you every year. So you'll give your property tax money, was constitutionally guaranteed to stay local. Now it goes to Charleston. And then every year from this point forward, starting in 2024, for the next 100 years, every year you can count on the West Virginia legislature and the West Virginia governor to budget your money back. Now I want you to think about what I just said. Every governor, every legislature, from here on, is going to take what was constitutionally guaranteed revenue, and they will make the decision whether they are going to budget it back to local government. That's what's on the ballot with Amendment 2. The governor's made it very clear. He is against Amendment 2. We are against Amendment 2 because it puts an unbelievable stress on the state's budget. When you talk about the state's budget, remember, it's not about Berkeley Springs, it's not about Morgan County, it's about PEIA, it's about Medicaid, it's about jail bills, it's about pay raises for state employees. Now you're going to get in line with everybody else. Local government, if this amendment passes, gets in line with everybody else. Last but not least, it was said we'll vote for Amendment 2 because it helps business in West Virginia. 2/3 of the money from Amendment 2 2/3 will go to large and small corporations. We're talking Walmart, we're talking Kroger, we're talking Target. They are going to have their taxes removed off their inventories. 2/3 is going to them. 1/3 was going to come to you by taking the sales tax, or the property tax, I should say, off your cars. Well, guess what? Then I'll turn it over to the governor. The governor put forth a plan last week to remove that property tax from the car. And that's my cue. I know when the boss man says hallelujah, it's time. I give you the 36th governor of the state of West Virginia, the Honorable Jim Justice.
No, please don't do this. Now, y'all sit down. Sit down, sit down. Dave, Babydog was putting her head on the little armrest here and everything. She was going out on you, you know. And she may go out on me, so if she does, y'all just start laughing and tell me to be quiet. You know, first of all, I don't know who all's here and everything, but I mentioned this before, but you've got Senator Trump here, and Senator Trump, I will vouch for him until I die. He is a great, great man, and he does an incredible job, and I'll say that till the cows come home. I think the world of Charlie, and I know that he's going to always represent you, and he's always going to do a good job. Now, let me just tell you just this, and here's how I see the whole thing. And then we've got an incredible announcement, and I thought we were going to do that first, and that's why I came in here and sat on this crazy stool and listened to Dave for 14 hours. And I, you know what, I really was coming in here to do what the announcement is over there first. But let me go through my stuff, and then we'll do that really good stuff, okay? Here's how I see what's happened. We passed a resolution with the House and the Senate that basically could put on the ballot the ability for the House and the Senate and the governor to come up with something that would change the tax structure or whatever it may be. Now, why did that come about? Man, let's just be brutally honest. You know, why it came about was the machinery and inventory tax. And how did it come about? It came about because, this is my opinion now, but I believe this with all my soul. It came about because big dollars. You see, you got to remember, and it's true all the time. But in D.C. today, there's a thing called the swamp. Well, what is the swamp? What really is the swamp? Well, basically, it's just this. Is you've got elected officials, and they're there, and then you've got some group, whether it's the Sierra Club, or it's climate change, or it's manufacturers, or whatever, and they have lobbyists. And those lobbyists, they got the money. And they approach the legislatures, and they basically are just trying to persuade the legislatures with all the resources that they have that the legislatures will vote their way. In D.C., you know, it's just buying their vote. And then the legislatures become subject to them. Well, the lobbyists don't really matter because the lobbyists are representing whatever group it may be, some big business. That's the definition of the swamp. And basically then what you get is you get government elected officials that say, I always am going to vote what I think, and that's garbage. That's nothing but flat garbage. In most situations, too many elected officials are voting what they have been persuaded to do by some interest group. Guarantee it. Guarantee it. Well, you see, I really signed up for this for one reason. You see, she's already resting her head. She's tired of listening to me too. I signed up for this. I believe this man is here for this. I signed up for one reason though. And I know it's a fact, and I really don't care if you buy it or don't buy it. It doesn't really matter to me because my dad would have always said, as long as God above knows and he knows, that's all that really matters. Well, I know I signed up for this for one reason, and that was to serve. I don't want anything. I don't want anything in the world. There's no lobbyist that comes and talks to me because absolutely they know I'm not in it for anything for me. Now, so what you got is this situation. You passed a resolution. Now it's going to the ballot. It seemed so benign. So benign. It didn't have any level of toxicity with it at all. But now all of a sudden there's a real ugly head that comes out. You see, I would have never thunk it. And I say that not in just slang. Okay, but just think about this for a second. When I decided, well, because Eric Householder, on the House side, and so many people on the Senate side, we'd all been in line, fired up to get rid of, your personal income tax. Well, so I said, well, look, we've got all these beautiful surpluses. Let's just do 10% now and get us on our way. Inflation is eating us alive. You know it. You know it. You know you're going to the gas station and paying $5 for gas, going to the grocery store and doing what's happening there. You know it. For God's sakes, we're a bunch of Republicans. We're supposed to stand wholeheartedly for any kind of tax break, and we can do it tomorrow. So I said, do it tomorrow. My God, let's do this right this second. Well, the House did it in a day, and the Senate just stopped. Well, I couldn't believe it. I could not believe it. I said, what in the crap is going on? Have we lost our minds? You got our folks out there really hurting. Here's a way we can get them $274 million or 271 or 254, I don't know exactly, back tomorrow. What is wrong with us? And the reality is just real simple. And I'm not here to debate this. I'm only here to present what I think is my side, because the other side has been going around and around and around all over the state with county commissioners and boards of education and on and on and on forever, and I've not interfered in that. In fact, they never asked me to the party, period, for a year. Here's what I think has happened. The reason the brakes hit is two people, and that's Craig Blair and Eric Tarr. They're the president of the Senate and the finance chair. They wouldn't allow it to even come to a vote. We never even voted on it in the Senate. Now, well, why is that? Because they got to have all the money. They got to have all the money. That's all there is to it. If we gave $254 million back to the people, and then they passed their car tax on top of that, and on top of that, the machinery and inventory tax, well, my God, before you spun around, you'd probably be looking at $900 million. Now, and if you tack on some level of inflation, that's significant too. Now just stay with me just 1 second mathematically. What does $900 million mean? Well, it's 20% of all the revenue that comes into the state. Now, as long as we go like we're going, that's not a tremendous threat. But the problem with this is, and I would challenge all of you with this, you go to fix the gutters on your house. I don't care what you do. You go to do anything at your homes. Does it ever work out exactly like what we thought it was going to work out? It doesn't. Dupe happens. It does all the time. And if it happens, then the only thing we will be able to do is cut. And when you turn around and you spend 15 times, and I will promise you to God above, I won't be here. I'll ride the wave to the end, and I'll be gone. And in all honesty, if you're really fair, you'll probably sit back, and I don't say this egotistically, and say, the greatest governor we ever had, hands down, period. Look what's happened. Look what's just happened. We don't have to measure it and go through this, but I'll ride that to the end and be gone. Well, then why am I here? Babydog would say, why on God's earth are you here? Well, the reason I'm here is because I know we're about to make the god-awfulest mistake in the history of the universe. And we're making it because, in my opinion, again, you have manufacturers or whomever it may be, car dealers, whomever, that are basically propping up our legislatures through this swamp. And literally, at the end of the day, they have become servant to the groups, to the interest groups. And then before you know it, what's going to happen is just this, just what Dave Hardy just said. A ton of this money is going to go to big, giant, out-of-state corporations. You're hurting at the grocery store and inflation-wise today, and you will drive a stake in the personal income tax heart forever. You'll stop it forever. And you know what else you'll do? As soon as there's a real bump, a real bad bump in the road, without any question, you will kill yourself on a county level, the seniors, the schools, the firemen, the policemen. You will put at risk so much you can't imagine. Now that is dumb bunny stuff. That's all there is to it. Now, I'm telling you, so from Jim Justice's standpoint, the guy that absolutely believes that I just came to serve, I truly believe this. I really believe that God above made me Jim Justice for a reason. He did. He made every last one of you who you are for a reason. Now, I believe that. I believe that with all in me. And if that be the case, he didn't make me Jim Justice to go hang out on the beach and just lay there like a beached whale and eat chicken nuggets with Babydog. He made me Jim Justice for a reason. And so I'm sitting here. Now, I got a whole heck of a lot of things I'd love to be doing rather than this. But I am telling you, there is nothing that can harm the greatness of this state like people that are wanting something. They're wanting something. They're wanting the next highest elected office. They're wanting something. They're wanting a promise for support in an election or campaign donations or whatever it may be. They're wanting the swamp. And I'm telling you, they're not bad people. They're not bad people. But with all in that, what they're wanting is so misdirected and such a gamble that it could turn out really bad. Now, is it guaranteed that it's going to turn out really bad? Well, no. Is it guaranteed that a meteorite's not going to hit us? Well, of course it is. There's no guarantee. But I can tell you without any question, I bet my life on it, things could turn bad tomorrow. What happens if that happens? I mean, what in the crap happens? I mean, you are smart people. What happens if this? What happens if we go out here and turn our radios on and Putin has launched a tactical nuclear weapon? What happens? The stock market will go to 9,000 straight tomorrow. As soon as that happens, our rainy day fund will be upside down, as sure as I know my name. The bondholders will say, you got to put money in rainy day to prop it back up because you don't have the investments or gone. What will happen to us if dupe happens? I don't care what it is. Charlie knows this, but really at the end of the day, you know, we have $6 or $7 billion of promise from the federal government that is matching dollars, but we got to put up $1 billion over 5 years. What happens if we don't do that? My God, living, look what you have done with Cacapon right here. Look what you've done. We had surpluses. We had attracting of businesses more and more and more here. We decided to put dollars into our state parks, make investments in us, and it's worked. You know, I would say over and over and over, for God's sakes, live it. If it ain't broke, why are we trying to fix it? What are we doing? We're putting ourselves at risk. Absolutely, we're turning our back on Toby and Edith for big, giant corporations. We are. We're putting our counties at risk, our services, and like it or not like it, you are living in the breadbasket of what West Virginia should be. We should run your play over and over and over because you're great at what you're doing. Many places in West Virginia are a long ways from being great at what you're doing. But if you think that you're just guaranteed it's just going to kind of work, it's going to work your way no matter what, Babydog's got the greatest oceanfront property in Kansas to sell you tomorrow, and she'll sell it to you all day long. Now, listen, at the end of the day, we don't have to do this. I can tell you one thing that really tickles me to death, and it's just this. And you know, I came late to the party. A lot of people said, well, you think this is going to pass? And I said, well, to be perfectly honest, they had a year head start on me. And then I just started. And all I'm here to do is not try to swampatize you from my standpoint. All I'm here to do is just to tell you, just open your mind. Open your mind and know that there's big time level of risk if things would happen to turn sour. There's also other components, and it's just this is you can't possibly aggressively get on a pathway of reducing your income tax and do the machinery and inventory and everything all at one time. I came up with a way through the great work of these people and everything to get rid of your car tax, and it's gone. It's gone. You can forget your car tax forevermore now. The reason you can forget it is because we've got a mechanism to give you a rebate back that's dollar for dollar, cent for cent, and there's no way on God's earth that the House and the Senate will turn their back on that no matter what. There's no chance on a billion years. It's gone. And I'm all celebrating and tickled to death that the car tax is out of our way. Take it off the table. Now you're voting for one thing. You're voting, do you want to change the Constitution or you don't, or not? I mean, if you're voting to change the Constitution, you're signing up for taking local control that should know what in the crap you're doing away and give Charleston all the control. That's what you're voting on. Now, Bob Pruitt at Marshall said this, and I've got to tell you this, just think about it. And here's what you're voting on then. You're not voting on the car tax anymore. Does everybody understand that? The car tax is gone. That's off the table. Now you're voting on one thing, and that is giving control to Charleston away from you guys. All right, now just think with me one more second. Bob Pruitt said just this. He said, this is nothing more than just like this. I would say to you, Charlie and myself and 10 other politicians, we'd all say to you, we're all up here saying, give us all your wallets and give us all your money. And we're all politicians, and there's no guarantee that we'll be elected or even be here. I mean, that's all, but give us all your money, okay? And we promise we'll give it back. That's basically what's happening here. Now, if you believe that, you're nuts. You're not just you're nuts to believe such a thing. Now, because, for God's sake, we may not even be there. But secondly, when has Charleston control versus local control ever worked? When has Washington control over states control ever worked? I mean, it's not going to work. Toby and Edith are going to get stabbed right in the heart, and really and truly we ought to help them tomorrow because inflation's eating them up. And we're just going to turn our back on it. Now, the good part about this whole thing is this. I got real late to the party, didn't I? Because really and truly, I just went out about 2 weeks ago and said, whoa, God, stop. Everybody stop. What is going on here? You know, if we were good intended by what our thoughts are, then without any question, as soon as I said 10% income tax, well, we'd all been for it. Well, that's the red flag. And then right behind that, when I said, well, good Lord of living, let's get this Amendment 2 thing straightened up, because really, very braggadociously, the powers to be came to me and said, you know what we did? We put the car tax with it because everybody will vote for it then. That's what they did. They put the car tax with Amendment 2 so every one of you would vote for it. They don't care about the car tax. I do care about it. They don't care about that. They care about one thing, machinery and inventory, because that's where the money's coming from. That's all there is to it. And that puts you at risk. And that's why I say it's crazy. It's worse than crazy. Now, the great part about all this, and this is only one little glimmer of nothing and everything, but Metro supposedly is running a poll right now that's going on. And it just came out, I just got it really at 8 o'clock this morning. I didn't have a clue they were even doing it and everything. Well, right now they've been into it like 6 hours, maybe on the 7th hour right now. And the last time I checked, there's 63% of the people, the question on the poll is, are you for or against Amendment 2? How will you vote? 63% of the people say, no way. 23% of the people say we're voting for Amendment 2. This thing's going up in flames. That's all there is to it. Thank God. Now, am I dumb enough to not say everybody should run across the finish line? Let's don't just quit. Everybody's got to run across the finish line. And I'll do that. And so will Babydog. Well, we'll walk across. But all that being said, now you got to go. Now, if you believe what I'm telling you, you're the disciples that got to go do something. And if you sit on the sidelines and you don't tell your in-laws and outlaws about the dangers of this, then here's what I'll do. I'll ride the wave till I'm done. Guarantee it, it's going to be a great wave. And when I'm done, when I run into you in Walmart, I'll walk right up to you and say, I told you so. Because you'll be in big trouble. Because dupe will happen. I guarantee it, dupe will happen. Somewhere, sometime. And when that happens, then the very thing you'll have to do is what was being done nonstop when I walked in the door. Charlie will tell you this. The only idea on the floor when I walked in the door was one thing: cut. You have to cut. And the more we cut, the more people left. And the more people left, we just kept dragging the hole right with us. You had to have something one hell of a lot better than just cut. Now, that's all there is to it. Now, all this other stuff, just imagine the Berkshire Hathaways or the Nucors or Green Power or Pure Watercraft, all the different people that are coming, and they just keep coming. My God, we can't hardly keep up with them. They keep coming and coming and coming and coming. Do you know, and this is a fact now, to God above, that's serious business with me. To God above, not one company has called me or said to me, not one, we'll only come if you get rid of the machinery and inventory tax in West Virginia. So why are we doing it? What are we doing? Now, my last is this. The car tax needs to be gone. The next thing in line is we need to aggressively figure a way to start on a pathway of getting rid of our income tax. If you want growth and you want goodness and you want your people rewarded, if you really want that, then that's what we should be doing tomorrow. The smart people should be in a room thinking about how we can get that done. And then I am not in opposition to the machinery. I'm not in opposition to any taxes we can get rid of. But it ought to come on the back end. It shouldn't come in front of the people that brung us to the dance. The people that are hurting in inflation and everything else today, it shouldn't come in front of Toby and Edith. We shouldn't be rewarding these big companies in hopes that they'll come. Now just think, we know, every tax publication in the land, everything knows that getting rid of your personal income tax drives real growth to every one of those states. We do not know. In fact, if you look at the tax publications, you're going to say the opposite. But we do not know that getting rid of machinery and inventory tax moves the needle hardly at all. But it will hamstring or hamstrung or whatever you want to call it, it will absolutely do that to this state for a long, long time to come. You can't do that. You can't. No matter what anybody says, you can't. And so, with all that being said, Babydog and I'll be done, and we'll end on that. And the last thing we got to do, which is way, way, way more significant and important, is just this. And I've got some notes, and I want to read this, because all this goodness makes me really, really proud. It says, before we get started today with my town hall meeting, thank you, Dave, and it says, I want to present something to the Morgan County Commission. The commission came to us and asked for a state match of $2,520,000 and $520,772 to be used on a project that will extend the water and sewage systems along US 522. Now that's the Berkeley Springs, I guess, interchange that's going on, you know, but nevertheless, so then if we could just go a little bit further, it says the state's assistance of $2.5 million roughly will be added to county funds to help match the federal EDA funds of $3.3 million, a $3.3 million grant for water and sewer system upgrades to support business growth and job creation. This expansion will service and extend the commercial area and the county's third largest private employer, Caperton Furniture Manufacturing. It will absolutely aid in that in every way. The extension will support and help maintain 150 current jobs and an additional 50 or 75 employees. The project will include 35,000 linear feet of sewer line, 3 pumping stations, approximately 23,000 linear feet of water lines, and all the necessary water tanks as required. The project will also serve other important businesses along the US 522. The total estimate cost was $6 million, and the completion of the project is estimated to stimulate and create 89 jobs and retain 195 jobs and generate $8.2 million in private investment, according to the guarantee estimates. And so today, I've got a check for the Morgan County Commission of $2,520,772, and I don't know who's here from the Morgan, but that's good. Whoa, whoa. So, guys, we did this first, didn't we? Okay, come on, y'all. I'm gonna put that right there. Babydog's gonna stand there. Or sit. Hold it above Babydog. I will hold it above Babydog. It'll be perfect. I don't even know why I did this. Nope, keep going. Hold up, Drew. Where are you? Right here. Yeah, I gotta have help with Babydog again. I'd pick her up, but honest to God, she's a 60-pound brown watermelon. And that's what these great troopers are for. Okay, now, stay there. All right. She's nervous about the sign. Try her one more time. And all you troopers, get a good look at Captain Pendleton here while he's doing this great work. Okay, he has a badge that I gave him. It's a bulldog badge. All right, baby, sit down. Sit still. You can do it. Okay, whoa. Sit still now. Okay. No, that's great stuff. That's really, this is what makes it good. This is what makes it good. Charlie, thank you.
Thank you so much, and we have several of the local business owners that this is going to impact, and this is going to serve. So it's been a long time coming for the businesses here in Morgan County and the people that live there. So we're extremely grateful for the state's commitment.
That's really good, really good. Well, in this situation,
this thanks goes to lots and lots and lots of folks. Charlie, everybody, all y'all, all the great work that you've done and everything. Just keep doing it. Like I said, you've got the playbook. I mean, y'all are the superstars. I mean, what's going on at Cacapon here and everywhere, all across the Eastern Panhandle, it's really great stuff. Great, great stuff. So just keep making us proud. You know, now last, okay? You can't imagine. I mean, but I was at the golf tournament at the Greenbrier. And this is really when I started really thinking about running for the first time. A guy walked up to me, and we all know it. He said, I'm Bob, and I've tried so many times to think of his last name. And I just got through doing an interview with Jim Nance that the sponsor does. And I wasn't more a politician than I could fly through the sky. And I talked about West Virginia, how pretty it was, how great it was, and how great its people were. And Jim Nance talked about it some too. And now I ran into this guy out on the golf course, and he said, I'm Bob, whatever. And big tears just pouring down his face. He said, I'm 87 years old. He said, thank you for making me proud of who I am. You know, well, just listen, and listen to this really clear. Today, so many people on the outside are seeing us in a different light like you can't imagine. They're seeing us really as the diamond that they really missed, and I've said it over and over. Now, Bette Midler doesn't like me right now, you know, at all. But I can tell you this, as far as I'm concerned, really and truly, for all those that have thrown rocks at West Virginia forever, I want to rub their nose in it. I really do. Because they make me sick, to tell you the truth. We know how good we are. We're low crime. We're faith-based. We're craftsmen. I mean, we're good people. We're family people and good people. And we got all the beauty under the sun and everything that goes right with it. We're located in the right spot. We've got everything. Hell, we got everything. We abound in natural resources out the yin-yang, whether it be coal or oil or gas or water, you know, timber. I mean, there's so much we have, it is unbelievable. Think we're within a rock's throw of 2/3 of the population of this country. How in the world could we have pitched dead 50th over and over and over? You're really good. And I'm telling you, I love you with all my soul. Now, again, you may buy it or don't buy it, and it doesn't matter to me. I know what I'm telling you is real. And so, just keep doing it. Keep doing stuff like this, and I'll just kind of wallow along behind for as long as I'm here. And you make me really proud. You make me really, really proud. So I'm clapping for y'all. That's it. Now, I'll put Babydog here if you want to come up here and pet her or say hi to her, and we'll get this out of the way. You got to lift her one more time there, Captain.